Hello everyone, welcome to a new edition of Jefferson College Today, seen every week on JCTV, Charter Cable Jefferson County Channel 21, and online at jeffco.edu. I'm your host, Roger Barrantine, and with that, let's take a look at the latest news and information about Jefferson College in Hillsboro, Arnold, and High Ridge. More than 800 students are eligible to receive associate degrees or career and technical education certificates during Jefferson College's 45th annual graduation ceremony on Saturday, May 15th at 11 a.m. in the Field House on the Hillsboro campus. Preceding commencement activities, the nursing program will have a pinning ceremony at 9 a.m. in the Fine Arts Theater. Now, St. Louis Regional Chamber and Growth Association President Dick Fleming will deliver the 2010 commencement address. And for over 30 years, Fleming has been a civic entrepreneur engaged in private sector and civic initiatives to revitalize center cities and metropolitan communities in Atlanta, Denver, and St. Louis. In addition to the commencement address, conferring of degrees, and recognizing of outstanding scholarship award winners, the college will also honor 12 retirees, including Jim Bianco, Academic Technical Support Specialist with 29 years of service, Linda Bigelow, Dean of Learning Resources with 22 years of service, Loretta Burris, Secretary of Continuing Education with 8 years of service, Dennis Eimer, Professor of Electronics with 29 years of service, Jerry Greenstreet, Director of Buildings and Grounds with 21 years of service, Bob Johnson, Professor of Business Administration with 34 years of service, Joe Lang, Director of Research and Planning with 20 years of service, Brad Matson, Professor of Music with 29 years of service, Lynn McLafferty, Administrative Assistant to the Business Manager with 25 years of service, Charlotte Richards, Workforce Development and Customized Training Coordinator with 21 years of service, B.J. Stockton, Director of the Area Technical School with 9 years of service, and Mike Young, Professor of Computer-Aided Design with 22 years of service. Other honorees will include Jefferson College Alumnus of the Year, Bill Overstreet, Phi Theta Kappa Teacher of the Year, Dora Mitchell, Governor's Excellence in Teaching Award recipient, Connie Kuchar, and Emerson Electric Award for Teaching Excellence winner, Cindy Rossi. As a public service, by the way, the entire ceremony will be available online at www.jeffco.edu and broadcast right here on JCTV numerous times throughout the following week. Well, in other news, with the uncertainty of state revenue streams and a decline in local property tax collections, the Jefferson College Board of Trustees recently approved a series of conservative institutional budget assumptions for next year, which incorporate restraint in the short term and attempt to soften long-term financial impact, while also including funds to promote enrollment growth. Now, in addition to implementing cost reduction measures, the college will seek to generate additional revenue by growing enrollment and increasing fees for selected services. As well, vacant positions are being held open unless they are critical to the college's mission. However, the total number of faculty will remain unchanged from the current fiscal year. Restructuring, which particularly in the light of the creation of an academic vice president position, is also necessary due to the retirement of senior administrative staff, as well as to improve the operation of the college. Additionally, reductions to travel, professional development, office supplies, and all other manageable expenses are being maintained. Class schedules are being reviewed for the consolidation of classes into fewer buildings to reduce energy consumption, and work schedules are being reviewed to reduce energy consumption and costs. Now, additional measures may need to be implemented as economic conditions unfold over the next few months. And speaking of, in light of those dismal financial budget projections from the state, and knowing that one of the few revenue sources that the institution can directly control is the growth in its enrollment, the Board of Trustees has unanimously agreed to move forward with plans to expand attendance site access and implement money-saving capital projects. To take advantage of low interest rates and construction costs, the Board has approved a resolution to issue debt at a maximum amount of $5.1 million for addition and renovation at Jefferson College Arnold and Imperial, and for 3 Hillsborough campus green initiatives. Now specifically, the Imperial, which is the former Jefferson College North site, will house the Law Enforcement Academy and Emergency Medical Technician and Paramedic programs, a reactivated Certified Nurse Assistant program, and a new phlebotomy class. Now, renovation there is expected to be completed for fall of 2010. Then at Arnold, construction and remodeling will allow for the addition of 5 to 6 general purpose classrooms, a science lab, and additional faculty and administrative offices. Construction completion there is anticipated for the fall of 2011. And finally, maintenance projects on the Hillsborough campus will provide savings to the operating budget due to reduced energy costs and increased efficiency, including boiler decentralization, HVAC replacement, and lighting replacement. Completion of those projects is also anticipated for the fall of 2011. The entire project will be financed through the Jefferson College Educational Facilities Authority over a 10-year period as part of a long-range debt planning model. Well, representatives of the Twin City Area Optimist Club recently made a $4,000 donation on behalf of the service organization to Jefferson College in support of student scholarships. Pictured from left are Sue Boyer, Trivia Chairperson, Jefferson College President Dr. Raymond Comiskey, Kathy Henson, Scholarship Committee Chairperson, and Ellen Bridgewater, President. Donations such as this allow Jefferson College to continue helping those that might not otherwise have the opportunity to pursue their dreams and goals. And as a comprehensive community college, that's exactly what we're all about. Now, the Optimist Club's commitment to raise funds for Jefferson College scholarships spans 17 years with a total contribution amount of $34,000. Optimist International is an association of more than 2,900 Optimist clubs around the world dedicated to bringing out the best in kids. And every year, Optimists conduct 65,000 service projects and serve well over 6 million young people. Well, in other good news, the Jefferson College chapter of Phi Theta Kappa International Honor Society recently inducted 119 new members during the organization's spring ceremony, setting a new record for the most members ever initiated in the 45-year history of the Xi Zeta chapter. The society is based on the hallmarks of scholarship, leadership, service, and fellowship. And to be considered for membership, students must have a grade point average of 3.5 or higher on a 4-point scale. The Xi Zeta chapter was established here at Jefferson College in 1965 and has received numerous regional and international awards, including Most Outstanding Missouri Chapter and National Top 10 Chapter. Chapter advisors are Philosophy Professor Dr. Michael Booker, Division Chair Administrative Assistant Lynn Hoff, and Assistant Registrar Holly Lincoln. And finally, to support the mission of Jefferson College, JCTV is always working to provide viewers with educational and informational programming that is unique and exclusive to Jefferson County. If you have suggestions regarding the types of programs you'd like to see here on JCTV, feel free to contact the station by writing to JCTV, Channel 21, 1000 Viking Drive, Hillsborough, Missouri 63050, or by emailing us here at jctv@jeffco.edu. That will do it for the news portion of Jefferson College Today. Have a great rest of the week, and stay tuned as I visit with Jefferson College President Dr. Raymond Comiskey as Jefferson College Today continues.
The teachers' doors are always open.
Faculty commitment.
What I like the best is just the overall enthusiasm that the teachers have.
The faculty understands our students.
Jefferson College has a very comprehensive education.
Just being part of Jefferson College is like my second family.
Top quality education.
I'm Rachel Schrage.
I'm Jose Soloria.
I'm Della Selman.
I'm Shayna Payton, and I discovered my future at Jefferson College.
Welcome back to the Jefferson College Spotlight here on JCTV. I'm your host, Roger Barrantine, and today it's my pleasure to have as my guest Jefferson College President, Dr. Ray Comiskey. Dr. Comiskey, welcome to the Jefferson
Thank you, Roger.
Spotlight.
Glad to be here.
Well, I know this is a very busy time of year for you and in the entire school as well. You seem like you go from meeting to meeting and event to event, so I really appreciate you stopping by today here in the JCTV studios.
My pleasure.
As we look back, it won't be much longer, maybe a month or so, until you will be celebrating an anniversary of sorts. You will be at Jefferson College here for your first full year as the new president. And I guess a little bit reflective today as you look back over the last 12 months or so, particularly, what do you feel has been perhaps your greatest challenge and in the same hand, the college's greatest achievement over the last 12 months?
Well, it'll be a year in June, and it has been an exciting ride. I felt very privileged when I got the job, and really nothing's changed there. It's been a great opportunity to come to Jefferson. I've enjoyed some of the challenges that are out there. Obviously, we were hit almost right away with incredible enrollment growth, which is a wonderful problem to have.
That it is.
In terms of accommodating what students need in the way of classes, books, facilities, parking, items like that. And then building a schedule based on where we see our enrollment going. Our growth in online programs has been just stellar. And it's really challenged us to rethink how we're approaching our educational offerings, challenged us to rethink about where our priorities are in terms of the degrees we want to offer in the future, and really start down that planning path to think about, based on what we know today, where will we be tomorrow. The other big challenge, of course, is trying to manage the finances. With the kind of growth we've had, also comes unanticipated expenses and trying to keep our costs relative to the services we're providing. So we've had a very exciting year, but one that certainly has challenged our creativity in terms of delivering a good educational product to our students.
Well, as you mentioned finances, we've heard a lot in the media in recent days about not only severe cuts, but reductions that have been coming from the state by means of their loss of revenue, and particularly with the lower tax receipts. How do those kinds of things, when we're talking about a state level, how do those kinds of projections and talk and things coming out of Jefferson City directly affect schools like Jefferson here at a local level?
Well, they have a great effect, and we, of course, are watching and working with our state legislators very closely to address these particular concerns. Last year, the community college and university systems made a deal with the governor that for level funding that they would not raise tuition for the current academic year. The governor came back this year and offered us, again, the same deal, but accepting a 5.2% decrease in state funding. Well, for Jefferson College, that's going to be in the neighborhood of $400,000 to $450,000. So you can see that immediately has a dramatic impact on our operating budget. What we look at is what is often called that old three-legged stool, where the tuition the students pay, the state resources that come in, and the tax resources all make up the components of the financing of our community college district. And unfortunately, two of those legs are either they're all frozen or decreasing, depending on which leg you're talking about. And what that means is the old adage: we need to do more with less. This kind of impact is really causing us to think seriously about, what's most important to us, what services are mission critical for us to deliver to students. Why are we here, and where are our priorities? And that's how we've had to analyze it, not unlike, I think, the way a lot of people look at their home budget or a business looks at their operating budget. But, since our product is education, we want to make sure we don't lessen the quality as we find ways to tighten our belts.
And as you look at that, I would assume, this is not just a short-term view when you look at a budget for maybe next year, but what else is the college doing in terms of even longer terms, the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years or more?
Well, you really have to look at the budget considerations in that longer view, Roger. You're exactly right. First and foremost, we firmly believe that many of these state cuts are permanent. And that simply means that we don't expect the money to be gone one year and to come back the next. And so we're really trying to make decisions that have multi-year impact. If we're going to provide a service, can we really maintain that over the long haul? In terms of some of the other questions, for example, freeze on tuition, You know, we worry about a rubber band effect where we've stretched it so tight that when we do raise tuition that we don't want to have to raise it too dramatically at any one time. So we really have to take a multi-year approach. When we establish a college budget, we always go 2 or 3 years out, simply so we can see where our financial decisions today will take us in that 2 or 3 year period, and really begin to map out the kind of plan that says, you know, this is a good financial decision. And again, it goes back to our core mission. We're here to serve students and educate the general public. Is that supporting, is that activity supporting it? And that's how we're asking ourselves that question every time.
One of the positives that you mentioned just a few moments ago is the fact that Jefferson is really seeing some historic growth patterns in terms of enrollment. And so how are you using that growth, that projected growth, in terms of better serving residents, particularly in the northern part of Jefferson County, as we hear about expansion and construction efforts both at the existing Jefferson College Arnold facility as well as Jefferson College Imperial?
Well, it is a core part of what our long-range financial plan is all about, and that is the fact that we are setting unprecedented enrollment numbers. When you have the kind of growth that we've had, it does provide some leverage for us to offer services that perhaps we couldn't do before. And so we really want to do what we can to stabilize student enrollment. So we recognize that the economy in many ways is driving some of our enrollment growth, as well as other factors, including the fact that community colleges really are being well recognized now for their quality education. But we want to stabilize that enrollment, and to do that we really had to increase our facility capacity. We are almost at capacity during the normal school hours in the day here at the Hillsborough campus. We know we were struggling because every room was full at the Arnold facility. And so the decision became pretty easy when we looked at our Imperial campus, which is our old North campus, and recognized that that building probably wasn't going to sell easily or for a decent price. That we had programs that we could relocate to those centers and free up some space on our Hillsborough campus. And so the decision was made. We took the building off the market. We are going to renovate it. We'll open it up. We'll move law enforcement. We will move paramedic, EMT. We will move certified nurse assistant, and maybe some other technical programs over time up to that facility. It will be more limited use, but it will be a facility dedicated to those programs. And then that frees up space on Hillsborough campus for us to do some program expansion, healthcare, and some other areas. In addition, the North population continues to grow, and they're demanding more of our services. And so we looked at the possibility of adding on to the Arnold facility as a way to provide more capacity. So we're going to put a very modest addition on the back of the Arnold facility. It will add 6 classrooms, but we're going to take a current classroom in the facility and create another science lab there because we have more demand. And so we know we'll be able to maintain enrollments in those areas for some time. And it's modest growth. It's not a large expansion where it's a giant risk. We know we'll need those facilities for years to come. And then last but not least, when we did our strategic planning analysis back in the fall, we heard loud and clear that our citizens in the northwest part of our district were concerned they weren't getting enough services. And so we are also looking at expanding our capacity in that direction as well, with the idea that creating more services now while we know we have the student capacity will allow us to maintain more of those services even if enrollment starts to return to other levels. So I like to think of it as we're building support shelves to hold enrollment up so that regardless of the economy that we'll continue to enjoy the size and service we've enjoyed in the last 2 years.
With those kinds of plans as a backdrop, obviously it all comes back to finances. And again, we're just a few minutes removed from talking about the dire circumstances that the state faces. So how will Jefferson, in terms of securing funds to do these kinds of things, where will that money come from?
Well, most of the money that the college receives comes in one of 2 categories. Unrestricted, which is oftentimes made up of state aid and tuition and other monies that come with no requirements on them whatsoever. And the large part of our budget, about $27 million worth, is unrestricted. And most of that money goes toward payroll, goes toward some of the modest supplies and things like that we use throughout the institution. And we also have a smaller pot of money that comes to us from our state and local taxes that is restricted. and that restriction usually comes in the form of maintenance and repair or capital monies that can only be used for very specific purposes, including facility development. And that's the money that we're going to use in part to fund these expansions and these improvements. We've also looked at, as part of our planning process, and recognizing that we need to create what's called a rolling debt program. And in looking at that we can leverage tomorrow's dollars to make improvements today. And by doing that, we can sort of create a level payment plan. And so we are doing a bond issue to help us do these facility expansions and the development, but also do some campus improvements so that we don't have one year where we have a giant spike in the cost and the next year maybe nothing to spend on facilities. We'll take these bond issues out and we will then be able to every year pay back a level amount. Now, the good news about our tough economy is that the interest rates are very low. So we're borrowing the money at a very low and very favorable rate. And because we're putting our projects out to bid and companies are working hard to get jobs, they're being very competitive. So we're getting very competitive bids and a very sharp favorable interest rate on the money we're using to pay for it. So it's kind of a win-win for the institution.
Yeah, it seems very smart, in terms of, on the surface one would look and perhaps say, why would expansion be on the forefront now? But when you talk about favorable interest rates and favorable construction rates, then the picture really does make sense in terms of, it all coming together, so to speak.
And it allows us to anticipate those needs that we see coming down the pike, if you will, and we know that if we're going to maintain these enrollments, we're going to have to increase our capacity, and that's what we're doing.
And it's funny as well, you and I were talking before we came on the air today, this kind of project, expansion and construction, not only helps obviously Jefferson College and the students, but this really is a stimulus as well, is it not, for local construction folks who will get jobs through these kinds of projects?
It has really turned out to be almost a Jefferson College jobs program, and really I should probably call it a Jefferson County jobs program, because we are using stimulus money through the county to do the bond issue. We will, in bidding these jobs out, we're going to have a lot of local people going to work. We are spending millions of dollars in Jefferson County to develop the college. And that will spur, I think, our local economy and support our local workforce. So it really does come back to repay us time and time again.
Yeah, and again, it sounds very, very smart, like a wise investment in terms of the use of those funds. Well, as we talk about some other great news that the college has recently received, one of the biggest pieces of positive news in recent days is the announcement of a nearly $900,000 grant. The title was Training for Tomorrow. I know Governor Nixon was here on our campus not too long ago. Talk a little bit about in terms of what that grant is, and more importantly, how residents in Jefferson County will benefit from the college's receipt of the Training for Tomorrow grant.
Well, first let me say I want to thank the governor and his office and his staff for putting this grant program together and allowing us to compete for some dollars. The governor has been very supportive of community colleges, certainly in general, and Jefferson College specifically, this being his home turf. Why, you might expect that, but he's a real supporter of education, and he really recognized that we're all hurting, and he was able to take a community development block grant and create the Training for Tomorrow program. And what he asked us to do was to put together proposals for the development of programs that would help our workforce get the training they need to get good jobs in a fairly quick period of time. And we looked at that, and we've been surveying and talking with a lot of local business leaders, and healthcare kept coming up. Concerns about, we've got this great hospital, but people still aren't always sure that they can get the services they need. Our hospital is saying they need more workers. We really wanted to support that effort. We felt that was an important role for us to play. And so we developed a grant proposal that will allow us to develop training programs in occupational therapy, physical therapy, respiratory therapy, and radiological technology. This money is a planning grant, which means it can't be used to hire the faculty necessarily, but can help us pay for the curriculum development, training on specific equipment, and prepare our facilities to house these programs. And so it's going to be a great shot in the arm to go along with our nursing program, where students will have more choices for health-related careers. They can stay here in Jefferson County, and these are programs that when you graduate, they are good-paying jobs. So we're very excited to get it underway. It will take us about 2 years to get the whole process rolling, but it's a great shot in the arm when you can get $871,000 pumped into your local economy to support your local community college.
I can hear the phones ringing right now, in fact, for people calling, wanting to get into those programs.
I have had the calls, I've had the emails, that people are very excited about it, and it really reaffirms for us that we've hit a big need in this county, and we've gotten a lot of great support from the hospital, from local physicians. People are very excited that we're stepping up in this way.
Another of the positive things that are happening here at Jefferson is, in fact, one of the first initiatives you brought along as Jefferson's new president was a long-range planning process on the heels of a most successful higher learning accreditation visit here last year. Talk a little bit about where that has gone in terms of involvement from the community and what the next steps are in terms of crafting and really unveiling the plan for Jefferson.
I think oftentimes what is deceiving to most people from the outside at first is how complex a college like Jefferson College really is. Strategic planning really is about laying out what the future is going to be for the college, but taking into effect all the various but interconnected parts of the college. And one thing that we've done very well over the years has been the year-to-year planning, making sure we had the basics of what we need. And what the Higher Learning Commission encouraged us to do is to look a little further down the road. So start thinking a little more long range, because there are things that are changing in our society. For example, the move toward online and internet-based services. And so reaching out and identifying where we want to be in 4 or 5 or 10 years, rather than just waiting for it to happen to us, was paramount in terms of developing a strategic plan. And so we started this year with a series of forums that we held first on campus with our faculty and staff, and even some students. And we talked about the strengths and the weaknesses of the college, what's out there, what opportunities are we missing, what do we need to pay attention to. We went out to our communities and to our advisory groups, and we got feedback from them. What would they like to see? As employers, what do you need? I met with local industry leaders, and we got an incredible amount of feedback and information, which, by the way, is posted on our website. So we're making this a very open process.
Oh,
you
terrific.
can see the things that we're looking at. And as we're now starting to organize these concepts into what we call buckets at this point, we're just really trying to organize them in terms of what fits with what components, and we're identifying what our long-range aims are. What's most critical for us as an institution to address? Finances may be one example, but program expansion would be another. Online services certainly will be a critical one. We're known as the jewel of the county. How do we maintain that status? You don't get that and just keep it. You have to earn it. And so we've had a lot of great dialogue on campus. And over the course of the year, we've had meetings where we've really started to hammer out where our priorities are. We thought, frankly, we'd be a little further along than we are, but the plan isn't done yet. But we hope by the fall to be able to unveil the beginnings of a rough draft that will really identify where the college is going to go. And my personal goal is that we've identified some strategic initiatives that we can begin putting into the 2012 annual budget. So we really see this process moving forward and painting a picture for Jefferson College for several years to come.
You mentioned another of the areas that you push forward for, and that is in terms of greater broadband access here in Jefferson County. And you've really taken a terrific lead in terms of bringing others in the county together to push the movement forward. And I guess my question is, how do you work in terms of being involved to balance that initiative to bring better access to residents versus the college's impetus to provide more online and expanded learning opportunities, and really using that series of classes as really a fifth campus, if you will?
Well, it's clear that broadband technology is critical to the growth of Jefferson College, but even more so, I think it's central to the mission that we have to serve Jefferson County. And almost immediately as I came to Jefferson County, I saw this disconnect with broadband, high-speed internet not being available consistently through the county, not at levels where our students could get access, certainly to online courses, but also as an economic development tool, which is, I think, another important part that the college plays in terms of encouraging and spurring on economic development, that we get out there and we position Jefferson Jefferson County to be as competitive as any other county in the state or the region, to be attractive to new business, as well as supporting those who are already here, making sure that they have the tools necessary to be competitive. You know, they talk about a global economy, but you still have to boil that down to the local businessman. And so you've got to equip people with these tools, internet being a key one now, to further develop the growth of Jefferson County. So the broadband serves the whole county. It's good economic development. From the college's standpoint, by supporting broadband development, we are supporting our students' ability to get access to education. That's central to our mission, because so many of our younger students talk about the need to take some of their coursework online, either because of their family schedule, their work schedule, or trying to get the courses that they need to stay on track and graduate in a timely fashion. You know, it's hard to appreciate if you're not an easy user of technology, but I did come across a great term a couple of weeks ago called the digital immigrant, which talks about people in my generation trying to talk about technology to people in a younger generation who are very fluent with it. And certainly I've seen that in my household, but I think that's where we are with our students, that we have students who are used to, very comfortably with using technology as a part of their daily lives. You know, it's not, they use ATMs, they go through the drive-through, but they're used to using Facebook and being online. They're very comfortable with that. And so our responsibility as an institution is to reach out and serve those student needs as well. And then last but not least is this concept of the web as an additional campus, perhaps our 5th campus, that we need to look at how we serve students whose primary interest in working with us would be electronically, because their needs are very valid. They're Jefferson County residents. We want to serve them, and we think we can do a good job at that. We already offer some degrees online. We currently have 3 proposals before the Higher Learning Commission to expand the number of degrees that we have available. And we are every semester increasing the number of online classes. And our enrollment growth, which has averaged about 30% a semester in online courses, has demonstrated that we're on the right track.
For a final thought this afternoon, we're literally a few days away as we record today's show from the annual commencement ceremony. It's Jefferson College's 45th annual event. And so for you as a college president, as you stand up on a stage and literally shake hundreds of students' hands that come across, what kinds of things are in your mind in terms of satisfaction that you receive, looking in somebody's eye, shaking somebody's hand, seeing their family out in the audience, in terms of knowing that Jefferson College is doing the right thing in terms of helping these people improve their quality of life?
Graduation really is a culmination of every reason that personally I got into education. As president, I probably can't take very much credit for the students walking across the stage. Certainly the faculty who have done a great job of preparing our students, our staff who have supported them through this whole process, deserve the bulk of the credit of getting them from day one to the graduation stage. My satisfaction comes from knowing that I've had a role in supporting their educational process, that I've worked hard to make sure the institution is able to provide the kind of resources they need to get that degree, that we've worked very hard to assure the high quality that we take great pride in, that we have made a difference in their lives. One of the great things that I get to do as I speak to various public groups is hear the stories about how Jefferson College transformed somebody's life, how maybe they weren't ready to go to college, or maybe they couldn't afford college, and it made a real difference to be able to come here and get started. Talked to a young man a couple of weeks ago who not only did the Jefferson College 2-year degree, but then did the 2+2 with Missouri Baptist, and would not have been able to do that had he been in a different setting because of his life requirements at the time. These are the kinds of stories as president you say, okay, I'm on the right track. And seeing the excitement in those students' eyes, while I won't be able to take credit for it, but I know that I was there to support it, and that means a great deal.
We're about out of time today. I do appreciate again the visit. I know you're a very busy man this time of year. Real quick, I know you would never tell me this, but I want to say congratulations to you. You were recently selected by Commerce Magazine as one of the Who's Who in St. Louis Business Persons of the Year.
Well, thank you.
So congratulations
Appreciate
to you.
that.
It's a very
Thanks.
significant award. Again, it points to the sign that you're certainly headed in the right direction.
Appreciate that, Roger. Thanks.
Thanks. Well, again, we appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Jefferson College Spotlight. We covered a lot of great information today from Jefferson College's president, Dr. Raven Comiskey. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time right here on the Jefferson College Spotlight.